All right. It's Friday, October 13th. I'm Geoff Schwartz. This is Geoff Schwartz Tomorrow. You live on Twitter, YouTube, and your favorite podcast platform of choice. It is our Friday wagering show. We cover all the NFL games for the rest of the week. We give our predictions on them, and we're brought to you by the Vaulted app, the home of my season-long game, giving out $14,000 of cash prizes in my pools with $5,000 allocated to my final pool this season, which will be the day of the big game. That's Vaulted, spelled VLTED. It's a place where you store your sports predictions, participate in cash prize pools without any entry fees, and prove you're smarter than your friends and myself using the Vaulted Challenge feature. I'll have my own pool each week. It's already up right now. If you answer questions, there's 20 of them to which cash prizes. There are no entry fees required to participate. And this season, they'll be handing out all those cash prizes, $400 per winner per week. Again, no entry fees to participate. The only way to qualify for my big game pool is to beat me in one of the regular season pools. I'll be using the app as well to store my predictions of the week, or 5 plays that we have at the end of the show. I put my college football ones in there as well. My Pac-12 ones, it's a lot of fun to store and see your predictions over 50%, which is good, Matt. I like it. Go download the Vaulted app, VLTED. Remember to use my code Geoff, that's Geoff, so you can see my predictions and play along. Matthew, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. I was just making sure that I could get into the contest for this week. I'm good, man. I don't know. Hanging in there. We've been cooking lately on this show, so I'm feeling confident.
We'll get to that in a second. I want to let everyone know that Washington sucks. Oregon's going to beat them this weekend. I want to make sure it's very clear on record. Them Oregon Ducks are going to beat Washington tomorrow at 3:30 Eastern on ABC, I believe. It's a very important day in my life when we play Washington. I hate Washington with a passion. Just think about the team you hate the most. That's how much I hate Washington. So it's going to be a fun weekend of sports for me. Let's talk very quickly about last night, because it does feel like Russell Wilson and the trade is going to go down as one of the worst trades in NFL history, Matt. Like, they have traded for Russell Wilson, and they cannot win football games. And I understand that it's not always his fault, but they just aren't winning with Russell Wilson. They paid him like he's an upper echelon quarterback, and those guys are expected to win games when things are not perfect. He is 5-16 now as a Broncos starter in 21 games. And last night, it wasn't all his fault, but he doesn't elevate his team above adversity. It's a major problem, Matt.
It is. First of all, that game closed, I think, 10.5. Super annoying. Yeah. Just want to put that out there. The Chiefs won by 11, and I had 10.5 for the Broncos. I was like, I was right, you dorks.
I don't think the Chiefs.
I was by definition wrong. Correct.
It was the Chiefs bullshit game they play every other week, where like Andy Reid pretends that his name is Drew, and he calls it a Drew game, where he's just like, what are you doing? 3rd and short, that Kadarius Toney like short yardage thing. They're like, what are we doing, man? The first 3 drives, they were inside the Denver 20 and had 3 points.
It was so strange. Like I don't recall a game where one team dominated so much and it never felt like the game was over ever. Like, I mean, it felt like they were up by 1,000, but they were up by 10. Like it was, the Chiefs are so weird. But yeah, I agree.
It was the most lopsided 11-point win in league history is what I said.
That's what it felt like. Yeah. It was an insurmountable 10-0 lead. I mean, Deshaun Watson has to be grateful that Russell Wilson's trade exists, because that is the only possible competition. Russ did not have a great game, but I think that the core of that team is just rotten. Like, I just don't think Peyton's really invested in anyone there. I think they just have this feel of a team that's just kind of falling apart. Like, until last night, Russ hadn't had a terrible season. And it's a short week. It's the Chiefs. Like, that happens. So I don't know. I feel bad. I feel badly for him. Like, I don't think that he's deserves the amount of crap he's gotten over the years from former teammates and the media. Like, I don't know. It's a tough situation.
On Monday, no one defends him. None of his former teammates defend him, right? But the thing about when you pay someone that much money is you have to be the guy who elevates your team above when bad things are happening. He doesn't do that anymore. That's my problem with him. He doesn't do that, right? You don't turn to him in a moment of that game and be like, okay, guys, I'm going to win this game for us. It's not what he is. And when you pay him all that much money, you have to be that guy. So that's my take on the Chiefs offense. Christian Watson's now out for a couple of weeks or maybe longer with a dislocated elbow. So number 84, he dropped that pass. But he's their best. Yeah. He's their best downfield option right now. The Chiefs have some wide receiving issues. I think Rashee Rice might be the answer, number 4, the rookie at some point. But Chiefs offense is not great. They're 5-1. I mean, I think they'll figure their offense out. I think they'll be okay. Matt, speaking about records, we've been at this for 5 weeks now. We're 15-8-2. 15-8-1 in Broncos. So I'm sorry about that.
There it is.
But dude, we're doing well. I like it.
We're doing well. We're often, we usually start pretty middling and then get hot. And right now, I think I think that there was it last week or 2 weeks ago where we disagreed on everything and we netted out with I think that was the 4-0 in Broncos week where we ended up having a really good back and forth and came to the conclusion that the arguments have actually make convincing arguments because we agree so much, but we're in a good spot.
We're in a good spot.
And I'm excited to talk about this week of crappy games because we're really going to have to think.
Ooh, it is. It's not great. But let's start with another game in London, another game Sunday morning. Let's start with that one.
Yeah, let's talk about this stupid London game. I'm West Coast London games, Geoff. Absolutely, you set your fantasy lineup and you wake up and you're like, I hope my day is not over. That somebody wasn't injured and missed. No one needs my rant. The Ravens are laying 4 to the Titans in London. I can't strong feeling on this.
If this game was in Tennessee, we would take Tennessee, right? Vrabel, home dog. As much as I think Baltimore will bounce back, the Ravens lost that game because their wide receivers couldn't catch the ball, right? So they'll bounce back. They'll play better this week. But without Tennessee being at home, I feel like you can't take the Vrabel underdog thing, right? Because this is not the same situation. So I will skip this game. I'll watch this game, but just skip.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think
we're having some internet issues with Matt right here. Might get him to reboot for a second. I can filibuster until he comes back on, but I think we're not taking Baltimore. Matt, you there? You there, buddy? All right, Matt's reconnecting, so I'm going to try to filibuster as long as I can here with this because we got to get through some of these picks, and this is not really the show where we have a lot of topics. But as I mentioned, Tennessee, 4.5. You know what I'll do right now? We'll do some college football very quickly before Matt gets back. So we're a little miscommunication right now. We'll get Matt reconnected here. He's working from home, doing a lot of work. Let's talk college football very quickly. There's a lot of big games this weekend in the Pac-12 conference, as you guys know. One thing I do really well is wager on the Pac-12 conference. I have some other wagers I like, so we'll throw those in here throughout this podcast. But Washington and Oregon play this weekend. The first time in this rivalry, guys, we hate each other. There's hatred. Washington and Oregon are bigger rivals than Washington and Oregon State, than are Washington and Washington State. It just is, right? Washington and Oregon have the same sort of facilities, the same financial backing, have sort of had the same successes in football. I know Oregon has not won a championship. Washington has. But the same sort of program, right? Both programs see themselves as sort of mirror images where we don't feel the same way about Oregon State and Washington feel the same way about Washington State. So what's crazy about this is the first time this has ever been a game with two top 10 teams. Typically, for the most part, one team has been good and one team has been bad. So now that we have a game where both teams are good, it makes this a lot more fun. And it's going to be maybe the most watched game of the weekend outside of USC and Notre Dame. And my take on this game is very simple. Oregon has a better defense. They are the more physical team and they're better in the trenches. That does not mean they're going to win because they have to slow down Washington's offense. But if you're handicapping a game and you're saying, okay, look, who has the advantage in these important things? You'd say Oregon does. Now, there's home field advantage, obviously, for Washington. There's also just the explosive nature of their offense. But to me, I like Oregon because of the reasons I mentioned. Their ability to hit the quarterback, the ability to slow down Washington. It's not about holding Washington, and vice versa, Washington holding Oregon to no points. It's about, instead of being 37, 38, 40, 45 points, it's 31 points. It's 28 points. It's taking 9 or 10 possessions and knocking 3 off with a punt, another one off with a turnover, another one off with a field goal instead of a touchdown. And Oregon, at least so far this season, has had the better team to do that. Washington's defense, 103rd in third down success rate, 79th in havoc rate, 101 in success rate, and they're 130th in penalties per game. So that, I think Oregon wins the game. I think they cover the game, obviously. Bo Nix is the most terrifying thing about this, because I really feel like if he doesn't have a bad Bo Nix game, they're going to win, but there's a possibility of a bad Bo Nix game. Like that he doesn't play as good on the road. It's loud, it's raucous, but I'm rolling my Ducks here if you haven't noticed. So we have Matt back. Matt, I filibustered with some college football. So I get my whole Oregon-Washington take. Let's get to game number 2 here for those who have stuck around of the NFL slate.
Yeah, so speaking of bad games and Washington, we've got the Washington Commanders at the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons are laying 2.5. The undefeated at home Desmond Ridder. We like the Falcons?
No, not at all. No, nothing. Yeah. No play in this game whatsoever. No chance. The Falcons are 25th in DVOA. Washington's 26th, and if they win this game, Atlanta's 4-2. Like, come on. You know what the Falcons are? They're the Vikings last season. They're going to make the playoffs this year, possibly, and then, or the Giants, either or. And then next year, they're going to be 6-11, and we're going to be like, oh, how'd that happen? Oh, they weren't very good the year before, right? Because the Vikings were this way last year, right? They were like 22nd in DVOA, something like that, right? Giants were same thing. So hard pass on this game. Not going to do it. The next one, though, I might.
Speaking of the Vikings, they are 2.5-point road favorites in Chicago.
2.5 now?
I feel like this is moved. Let's make sure that that's what we're getting.
I see threes. I see threes.
3. Yeah. Okay. So this is at 3. Okay, well, I really, really do not want to take the Bears. So if you're going to make that case, can I just do something quickly on Minnesota?
No. Yeah.
So you mentioned the regression and everyone last year being like, well, they won all these one-score games. Like, I know that they suck now, but like this point drives me insane. Like regression isn't, it goes all one way and then swings back and goes all the way the other way.
It should go all the other way.
It's insane that they're this bad. They've had some absolutely horrible luck this season with some turnovers, with like the meltdown at the end of the game. Like the Vikings could easily be what they were last year, which is like, okay, kind of good, like 3-2 or something like that. But instead they've been on the complete other end of the spectrum, and everyone's like vindicated by this bad take that just says like, well, that's how things work. It's not a seesaw. So I feel like they ended up being in this really weird situation 2 years in a row where now Jefferson's out. They're talking about like, should we just like unload this team and all these assets? Like, what a strange spot to be in. And for Chicago, like after this big win, let's see if they can do it again. I actually think this might be one of the most interesting games this week.
So the Vikings saw some regression, but also just aren't very good, right? Like the both are true, I think, right? They're just not a good football team right now, and some regression. Yeah. I'm not going to talk you the Bears +3, but this is absolutely the right play here, right? I mean, like you the Vikings are without Justin Jefferson and aren't very good. On the road now, I mean, you're not taking the Vikings here, are you? No chance.
No, I guess not.
No.
I mean, they're better. The thing about Chicago that's so worrisome is like, I feel like they got the monkey off their back last week. They get extra days to think about it. And now they're going to be home. And like, this feels like the spot where they could lay an egg, but there's bad weather. Like the Vikings can't run the ball at all. So I do feel like the Bears are advantaged by this Fields, if Fields is actually running now, which it seems like he is. So I just can't back the Bears ever. So I will say pass for me, but I don't know. It's going to be an interesting game. One of these teams is going to be toast afterwards.
There will be some Justin Fields questions in the vaulted pool this week, by the way. We'll cover that later in the show. I do like one of them that we have in the pool this week. All right, let's get to the next game here.
Okay, next game is Seattle at Cincy. Seattle off a bye. The Bengals off of a convincing win. The Bengals are 2.5-point favorites at home. Let's see if that's changed since we started recording. You can get a 3 if you want it.
I like Seattle +3 here. Don't you?
Oh no!
You like
no,
the Bengals?
I love the Bengals here. Yeah, interesting. Make your Seattle case.
They're good. I think they're a good football team. They're off a bye. They're 8th in DVOA. They're a balanced team. It's not like one side is they're 14th on defense and 8th on offense. I think they're really good. The Bengals defense has not been that good this season. Like, I think people look at the Bengals and say, oh, their offense is the problem. The offense is the problem. Their defense is 23rd in efficiency right now. I think Seattle, 3 points with Pete Carroll team off a bye, with the way they can move the ball and the way they play defense, I'll take it all day, man. I'm not buying this Bengals back thing yet.
Well, I agree that the Bengals defense has been bad, but I almost feel like you could make the argument that you've made with the Chiefs about the Chiefs offense about the Bengals defense. It's like this, like Anarumo or whatever, however you say his name. Every year they show up, like they figure it out. The Bengals always do this. They start slow, they come into form. Like Hendrickson's been great. Like their pass rush has been good. It's just like they've had some problems in the secondary, and like they've just like seemed a little bit flat. Pete Carroll off a bye is like nothing special. I think he's 500 against the spread on all these years. Geno Smith, I believe, is winless after a bye. The thing with the Bengals is I feel like this is the last week you'll get them sort of discounted. Like this is
probably,
if you look at like, yes, it was Arizona, but Arizona like just beat Dallas. Like they weren't rolling over. And I think, we'll get to them, but it seems like the James Conner injury just has everybody off of them. Burrow, he's done this before. He's 17-4 outside of the AFC North straight up. Like he's just like, he wins these games. Like if every single thing comes back to where we thought things were, then this line would be like 4.5, 5.5. And Seattle, like, I think Seattle is one of these teams that like, they've gotten a lot of credit for starting a little bit better than people, I guess, maybe thought. Like, I think people were sort of down on them, but a reminder of who they've beaten. They beat the Panthers. They got smoked by the Rams. They did beat the Lions in OT, but that's the Lions' only loss. And then they beat the Giants. Like they like, who have they beaten? And I know that since he hasn't beaten anyone either, but like, remember last year, since he lost to Cooper Rush in like week 2, like it took them a little while and then they just went scorching hot. So I'm fine with them as short favorites against the Seattle team that like, their defense is getting a lot of hype. This Weatherspoon kid is good, but like, is he going to shut down Jamar Chase? Like, is that happening? I feel like you're getting a good price on Cincy here.
I mean, I disagree with you, but if you love it, I'll put it in there. I mean, we could talk about it later. I'll put in the maybes.
Well, this is good. This is the sign. Like conflict is good for us. Like when we agree too much, we stink.
Yeah, I disagree on the Bengals right now.
All right, we're on opposite sides, so we should throw it out.
Seahawks are fine. Yeah, I'll throw it out. Okay, next up,
the most confusing game of the week. The 49ers are road favorites in Cleveland. This line has moved so much. I just want to get the latest. I see 9 or even 10 now, and all the bets and all the money are still on the Niners. Like, I think so. Watson's obviously out. It looks like it's going to be PJ Walker, who's better than the poor rookie who got annihilated last week. I mean, what do you do here?
I think you take the Browns +10. It's a lot of points. The weather is going to be funky this weekend in Cleveland, right? I think I'm right on that. It's a bad weather game. The number has moved a full 7 points off the open, which is crazy. The Browns defense is really good. The Niners are on this high right now, right? Nothing go wrong for them. They're on a high. They're playing good football. Go to the Midwest, rainy game, bad weather. You think you've arrived. They have arrived. And here's the Browns with PJ Walker quarterback. I'm going 10 points, Browns +10 with a good defense, and an offensive line that's good, and a run game that can run the ball. I'll take the Browns +10.
It's such a big ask, Geoff, to back the PJ Walker led team against San Francisco. I mean, this is so. In my research this week, it does seem like week 6 is one of those weeks where things sort of start to turn. Like we've gotten through the beginning of the season and then these bad teams, like we'll get to the Panthers and like the Giants and stuff later, like they start to just sort of like everyone's dead. They've all gotten burned betting on them in the first couple weeks, and they start to just sort of keep games a little bit closer than people think. Denver with was the exception last night, but I just think like if you're betting this, you kind of have to throw everything out. The 49ers could win this game by 40 and it wouldn't surprise anyone, but
Absolutely.
it's just situational. The Browns, they've allowed 6 red zone attempts this entire season, which I believe it just means like 6 drives. That could mean plays. That's the actual stat. That their opponents are converting third downs at 22%, 17% of drives in an offensive score. Like their defense is unbelievable. So they should be up for this. Stefanski's better as a dog. He's better outside of the AFC North. So like the smart play is the +10, but the question is, do we like that more than every other game to belong in our 5?
Well, so far we have 0 games. So that, I mean,
yeah,
like
so far 0, we do have 0. So this advances. I am curious. So the if you're watching on YouTube and Twitter, our line on this is 7 because that is where it netted out the super contest line. Would you take the Niners laying 7? Do you feel like you would take the Browns at 7?
Yeah, I would not take the Niners in this game. Yeah.
All right, so then we should definitely take the Niners if we're getting essentially 3 extra points out of it.
Browns, you mean?
Yeah. Excuse me, the Browns.
Yeah, I mean, I'll put in the maybes. We'll see where this nets out. I mean, the Niners aren't even. I mean, they're a decent tease, I guess now, but the tease is the 3 now. It's like or 6 point. I mean, a 6 pointer, you're going to 4. Like it's not great.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the next game.
Saints Texans. Saints laying 1 in Houston. Yeah. This is another like it's like you have a strong opinion on one side or the other. I'm curious where you land here.
I'm on the Texans. Where are you at here?
Okay,
the Texans too. Okay, I think we have one then.
I think I am too. Yeah. Okay. I'm a little scared, but make the case.
Well, the case is that the Saints are coming off this blowout win in New England. They're going back on the road. Their offense previously had not been good. They faced maybe like a zombie, like a zombie Patriots team that's not very good right now. Houston is very feisty. CJ Stroud is playing good football. They've been in, I think, every game but one so far this year. Like they've just kind of hung around. They've done other things, and I'm just not backing Derek Carr in back-to-back road games like this.
Yeah.
So I guess the Houston Texans have not hung around. They kicked the shit out of Jacksonville. They kicked the shit out of the Steelers. Close loss to the Falcons. Lost by 11 to Colts and lost by the Ravens early on. I think the Texans are a good play here, man.
Yeah. So basically, I mean, I would too. It feels a little bit like one of those games that's it feels a little fishy to me because the Texans. Oh, we can actually get 1.5 now. This line moved. So this is getting 60% of the bets and 10% of the money, the Texans. So this is a very big sharp play, and it's moved. It's caused the line to move despite it getting most of the bets. So I think the case that the sharps are making is like CJ Stroud. It could be time for the disaster game. Like everyone's still sort of holding their stock on CJ Stroud, and now Dennis Allen, not a great coach at all, but has good defenses, like is very good at like confusing rookie quarterbacks, you would think, with the amount of sort of just success he's had on the defensive side. So this could be the meltdown game, but this is also like you said, the Saints is a favorite back on the road. Derek Carr is one of the worst quarterbacks as a favorite. Dennis Allen, he's 18-40 straight up in his career. Like this is not a coach that's had a ton of success. The Saints are just 1-3-1 this year with Derek Carr against the spread. So I do feel like we're getting rope-a-doped here, but it's like the Texans are feisty. Like they can score, they can move the ball, and their defense shows up. I don't know. I feel like, and I think they're going into the bye next week, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe this is like a run through the tape kind of game. And we could fade the Saints off of a blowout. Like it makes sense, but I'm a little nervous.
I'm a little nervous for the reasons you said, but sometimes you have to go against the sharp sometimes and just kind of go with your gut on this one. And my gut tells me Houston just wins this game outright.
Yeah. they've had some interesting. It's like they put up 30 on the Steelers, and
I know.
then they had that weird game against Atlanta. All right, let's put that one through. We'll see how we feel about that when we look at it.
Yeah.
This one, I'm so curious your take on. The Colts are going to Jacksonville. I feel like these teams play every week. The Jags are laying 4 to what we think is Gardner Minshew. Do you have a feel here?
Well, no, I mean it's not Gardner. It's not Anthony Richardson. I'll tell you that.
Right,
dude. All the money is on the road Colts here. I like Jacksonville.
I know. I do too.
I feel like we're overthinking this. The Colts went on the road and beat the Ravens in a weird game with Gardner Minshew. That game is clouding our judgment, in my opinion, on this game. Like Jacksonville, we talked about Jacksonville here, just sort of need to get a little bit better on offense, and they're going to start playing a little bit better. They've played a little bit better the last couple of weeks. They just beat Buffalo, who last week, after the Dolphins, that was the best team in the NFL. They beat this team by 10 already in Indianapolis with Anthony Richardson. Gardner Minshew's not historically good as an underdog. I like Jacksonville, man. I'm in on Jacksonville in this game.
Yeah, and I think one of the reasons people like this for the Colts is they're coming back. The Jags coming back from the London trip, but they have more experience with this than other teams. To be fair, and this is also
that was the reason why I did not pick the Falcons last week. And did they cover in the end in that game?
Yeah, they did, depending on your number. They ended up winning and covering. And that's Arthur Smith. So the Jags also own this series. Like when the Colts were good, this was one of those where we were like, like what's going on? The last 17 matchups, the Jags have covered 14 of them and pushed 1. So I have a feeling like, also, I mean, you mentioned the Jags, and just how they sort of turn the corner. Like their offense is good, and I just feel like they just needed to sort of break through. And granted, like Buffalo lost some guys, and they were doing the travel to London last week, so that win may look a little bit inflated. But like they still beat the Bills. Like the Colts defense, I think the Colts have like a pretty fun offense. Like I think Shane Steichen, like that was a nice hire. Like they've done a pretty good job. But at the end of the day, like the Jags are way better, and I don't get the faith. Like I just don't. Maybe people think that it's like, who thinks the Colts are winning this game? Like maybe they think that they'll keep it close, and Jacksonville will just struggle coming home. But I'm fine with laying the 4 here. It doesn't feel scary to me.
It doesn't either. I'm fine with Jacksonville -4 here.
Cool. All right. I have pretty strong opinions about the next 2. The first is Carolina going to Miami. Miami is laying 13.5. Although there are 14s out there also. The Dolphins are getting 90% of the bets, Geoff.
You're on the Panthers?
So here's the reason. This is this like week 6 fulcrum. Like it's the longer you go into the season with these winless teams, the more they tend to end up covering. They end up doing better on the road. So teams who are winless in their 6th game or later, 40-27 against the spread on the road, 29-39 at home. The problem. So here's the other thing. Schedule wise, Dolphins play Philly next week. This is going to be a hot, windy day in South Florida. What do they have to show? Like they have no incentive to put anything on tape. They have no incentive to blow this team out. They don't have A-Chain who can just score whenever he wants. Like this feels like this game will be like a 17-point game in the 4th quarter, and Tua will be out, and the Bryce Young will throw like 27 5-yard outs, and they'll score, and then the Panthers will lose by 12. Like that just kind of feels like that's where this is headed. And I just feel like, like they're not, I don't think they're not tanking. Like they're trying.
No, they're trying to win. Yes.
Like the Bryce Young stuff. And also, sorry, last thing on the fucking Panthers, the teams that like is Miami going to cover 2 14-point games in a row? Like, I just feel like last week, everybody cashed that ticket, including us. And this week, like Carolina, they're the stinkiest team in the league. No one's going to back them. The Dolphins just delivered for the public 90% of the bets. Like this just feels like you kind of, especially 14, I feel like we kind of have to take the Panthers here.
The case for the Panthers is that the Dolphins defense is 25th in DVOA,
Yeah.
and the Panthers just offense does enough to cover this game late. And the Dolphins, to your point, just sort of pack it in because they're up, and they just are getting ready for Philly next weekend. I don't hate it. We don't have a lot, so I'm okay with putting in the maybes for now. Because Carolina's fighting, they're trying to get a win, like they're trying to be better. So I like your theory there about the desperation of them. Okay, and the next game, you like the next game? Where are you leaning next game?
Yeah, so this game, I'm surprised that I got here. The next game is the Bucks hosting the Lions.
Okay.
This is sort of hung around at 3 all week, +3 for the Bucks. I like Detroit. I think Detroit is a much better team, and I think that this is a good example of Vegas trying to trap you with this Tampa team that has not actually beaten anyone. I think they're this pleasant surprise that the rest of the public, particularly, is just sort of like, oh yeah, like they're good, like they're 3-1. They beat the Bears in the second week when the Bears were a total disaster. They beat the Vikings in a game they probably shouldn't have won in week 1. And then they blew out the Saints, and we already talked about the Saints and how we're not really big believers in them. So I just don't think they're very good. I don't think that being off of a bye matters. Todd Bowles, I believe, if I can find this stat quickly, he is let's see. I have his stat off a bye. Baker stinks off a bye. It's just generally not a good set of trends for the Bucks. And when you look at these, Mike Evans, we hasn't practiced during the week. Like if he's not even 100%, this offense is nothing. And the Lions are freaking good, man. Like I think they're a legitimate team that we're again sort of still getting at a discount. So I like Detroit.
Yeah. I think my only questions are just like playing outside 80 degrees. It's going to be a night-ish game, so it won't be as hot as playing a 1 p.m. kickoff. The thing about the Lions I don't worry about is down spots. Like I don't worry about them not being ready to play in any game because of Dan Campbell and the way they play. So I think the concern is the Lions just sort of don't show up, right? It's like on the road, it's hot. You just blew out the Panthers, you just blew out the Packers. You know, how much incentive is there to play as hard as possible this weekend? It's a general, that's what happens in the NFL sometimes. But I think Dan Campbell has a team ready to play too. Look, if any Baker Mayfield, buddy, I'm all for it. Anytime we can do it, like sign me up. It's fine. I'm good with playing this.
Yeah, and like I think, their play style is compatible for these hot, drag it out games. Like just give the rock to Montgomery 50 times. Yep. Like that's what they're probably going to do. And I think these two teams, like everyone had the Bucks being like one of the worst teams in the league. They've overperformed. Like, let's see if they can keep doing it. Like, let's see if they can beat Detroit.
Agreed.
Like that's essentially what we're betting on. And I'm not there. I think Detroit's way better.
Agreed. Okay, let's do next up.
Oh God, Geoff. I'm terrified right now. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about the New England Patriots, maybe the worst team in the history of sports, any sport. They're going to the Las Vegas Raiders, where the Raiders are laying 3. And I have a feeling you're going to try to talk me into the Patriots.
So we're 15-8-1 in Broncos. We're 0-3 betting on the Patriots. The Raiders
15-5 Patriots 1 in Broncos.
The Raiders are terrible, dude. And they're getting 3 points and they're laying 3 at home. I don't know. Jeez.
You're gonna have to do a better job than tell me the Raiders are terrible to make me bet on the Patriots.
That's why I don't think I can do it. I just can't stomach the Patriots again. I was thinking with USC football where I'm 0-3 on USC this year. I just stopped wagering on them. Just like cold turkey. Like we have the wrong read on the Patriots in all these weeks. And the Patriots scarred me last weekend. They did not show up, Matt. They lost 38-3 and came back and got their asses kicked out. They did not show up again for back-to-back weeks. Why are they showing up this weekend in Vegas?
I don't know. Not a place where people tend to be their most focused.
And everyone's on the Patriots too, which I don't like.
I don't either. Belichick, since 2018, this stat is crazy. 4-10 versus former assistants. Isn't that crazy?
Would not have
So
thought that.
when you think about who those are, that's O'Brien, that's McDaniels, that's Patricia. Like these are not, this isn't Vince Lombardi out there. This is like one of those trend games where it's like teams off of a night game playing a team who lost by 20 only cover 38% of the time. That's also true, by the way, with San Francisco. So another good case for why to take Cleveland. So like, but we're betting on Mac Jones. That's what would be happening here.
Yeah,
like this could be the Ramondre game where he comes back to life, but
I can't do it. I'm out.
I can't do it, man. I can't. And it's like this could be the meltdown week. Like the Raiders can score. Like they have a passing game. They can. Like it's like Adams and Myers are open a lot. Like they just don't punch it in because McDaniels is a moron. But I do feel like, and remember, we actually watched this game last year together at Barney's Beanery on the Promenade.
We did,
Chandler Jones put Mac Jones through the turf. Like there's some weird vibes about this game. So I would much rather just not care about it. But because I think we do have enough now where we can maybe avoid putting ourselves through another Mac Jones loss.
I'm with you. Let's skip it then.
He's going to turn it around at some point, but I just don't want to be the one holding the bag waiting for it. Okay, Cardinals Rams. This line is Rams by 7. What is this line? This opened in the 4.5 range, and I swear to God, I think the Connor injury is like getting everyone off of the Cardinals. I don't want to take them, but this does feel a little bit inflated. Maybe Kupp being so good last week has people excited about the Rams, but I don't know.
I can't figure out the Rams. Like, what are they? Either. I don't know. Arizona getting 7. Look, a late backdoor cover. But the Cardinals at some point, though, and it felt like last week was that week, sort of came back down to earth. Like the Bengals beat them pretty well. The Niners beat them pretty well last. It's 35-16 and 34-20. They're kind of coming back down to earth a little bit. And the Rams have played better than I thought they would. Their offense has been better, especially with Kupp. Arizona can't rush the passer, so are you affecting Matt Stafford in this game without a lack of pass rush? To me, it's just a stay away. I don't have a great feel for it. I wouldn't put money on it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I just don't. I don't trust the Rams to run away with games yet. All right, next one is another one that we're gonna have to really look in the mirror on. Eagles Jets.
No, we're not.
It's
doing
in Jersey. Eagles laying 7. Can't take Zach Wilson, right?
No, not doing it. No chance.
Okay.
I'm not sitting there on Sunday and hoping for the Jets cover this spread. I'm not sitting there when the Eagles are they're up 10 with 7 minutes left and they just grind out a 5-minute drive, kick a field goal, go up 13. I have to watch Zach Wilson try to engineer a late touchdown drive to cover this game. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not watching that game.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm not going to try to convince you because the play would be the Jets. This has moved to 6.5 or even 6 for the Philly now because the Jets have gotten so much love at 7.
Yeah.
Which should tell you if you're like in a super contest pool, like maybe Jets plus 7 is the play, but forget it. Speaking of lines that have moved, this one was 14. The Bills with a monster spread against the Giants. Geoff, I'm actually looking now. I see a 15.5.
I see a 14.5 for BetMGM still.
I see a 15.5, buddy. I see a 14 if you're into the Bills, but I see a 15.5 if you like the Giants.
Well, no, I do not like the Giants.
Well, obviously, no one likes the Giants, but
the Giants are without Daniel Jones, without their left tackle. Saquon might play, they said. So Tyrod Taylor is in. The Bills are without some of the guys on their defense, obviously, with Milano being out and White being out. I played the Bills over their team total. It was 28.5 yesterday on the Bear podcast. They averaged 31 points after a loss the last 3 years. And they play significantly better at home than they do on the road, especially in these games. And they scored a ton of points. I mean, could you see this being like 38-17? Like they just kicked the Giants' ass. The Giants have yet to score a touchdown the first half on offense this season.
Yeah, I don't think we can take the Panthers and the Giants, but this 15.5 is really staring at me. I mean, the main thing is, I don't know if Daniel Jones being out actually matters. Like Tyrod Taylor might keep this game closer just by virtue.
He definitely will. He definitely runs the ball better. And we saw at the end of that game, we had the Dolphins, if you remember. Tyrod Taylor was like making enough plays to make it sort of like sticky for us.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a little tense. And Barkley being back, Barkley is the entire offense. Like, without Barkley, they have no options. With Barkley, at least you have to pay attention to him.
Yeah.
So
and
I
with
do
Milano
think
being out, we'll
Milano's out. Like all of these, there's like 3 or so of these, right? I think the Bills are down 3 starters, all of whom were like having a really good season on defense. They're coming back from London. This is the game that Josh Allen like can win by 40. So, if we had to pick one of these monster spreads, I would still make the argument for Carolina, I think. But the Giants aren't just going to lay down. And I think after last week, it's again, everyone bet on Miami and cashed it. And they're like, great, I could do it again with Buffalo, who beat Miami and is off of a loss. And it's a night game. Like, I feel like Dable's going to get his guys up for this. Like, if he's a good coach at all, this has to be a game where they show up. Yeah. And the Buffalo does not have an amazing pass rush. They're down a bunch of guys on defense. Like, I don't see this as a 16-point win.
Yeah.
I think if we took that line, I would feel fine getting 15 and a half.
I'd rather take the Panthers plus the points than I would the Giants.
That's fine. That's fine. I think that I'm fine with that. Great Monday night game. I can't decide. Maybe you have an opinion here. It's the Cowboys coming to LA to lay 2.5 to the Chargers. Chargers off a bye. Cowboys off of a humiliating primetime loss.
Who's the favorite?
Across the country. The Cowboys. Oh, Cowboys are laying 2 or 2.5. How much of a Ducks fan are you?
It's nothing to do with Justin Herbert. It's betting on Brandon Staley. Because, like, if we lost this wager because Brandon Staley did something dumb at the end of the game, which he's bound to do in this game, I would never live that down. If you play Dallas here, you're out of your freaking mind. If you put money on Dallas, you're nuts. The Chargers are the only play here. The only play. I don't hate it, but I'm putting my money on Brandon Staley, which is just terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying. The Chargers are better in certain parts of the field, like the red zone. And lo and behold, the Cowboys are not good in the red zone because Kellen Moore's not there anymore. The Cowboys offense looks exactly like Mike McCarthy's offense with the Packers when he got fired, but for being stale, no motion. Like, what do you expect? Because he lied about having a PFF subscription. Like, he got this job. The answer for me is nothing on this game, but I would not take the Cowboys. I'd take the Chargers or bust.
I also have a PFF subscription. I could not be a head coach.
So do I.
You maybe could. I don't have a ton to add here. All of the splits favor Dallas. Like, Herbert's not great at home. He's not great as Dak's incredible as a favorite. He's very good as a road favorite. Dallas is great at night. Yeah. The Sharps are on Dallas. I'm good. I'll pass. Like, this is going to be a lot of points. I like the Kellen Moore factor. Like, that feels like they could sneaky. That's going to be like the big storyline during the broadcast, I have a feeling. So I don't know. This feels a little bit sticky to me.
The reason why Herbert doesn't play well at home is because he never actually has a home game. They're always road games.
Right.
Like, in this game's they're going to have a ton of Cowboys fans at this game.
Yes, it will be all Cowboys fans. Group of people.
All right.
Not the most
Matt,
fun to be.
I only have 6 maybes, and one of them I think you said no to already. You ready? I have Chicago +3, Cleveland +10, Houston plus 1.5, Jacksonville -4, Carolina +14, Detroit -3. I only have 6, and you said you didn't like the Bears.
And you want to take out you're definitely not on the Giants.
No, not on the Giants, no.
Okay, Giants are out. Yeah, the Bears are dicey to me, but
well, okay, so here's the deal. I think we feel really good about Houston, right? Yes?
I mean, I don't, but I feel like we agree on it.
Okay.
I'm scared of that. I actually Chicago to me, are we getting 3 with Chicago?
Yes.
I would consider them. Okay.
Okay, so
keep going.
Okay. So we have Carolina and Detroit are yeses. Jacksonville's a yes, right? -4.
Scary, but yeah, let's do it.
Then we have 3 others. We have two or 3. Chicago +3, Cleveland +10, Houston +1.5.
I think we have to do the Cleveland one.
Yep. It's Houston or Chicago. All right, Houston. All right, Chicago. So yeah, Cleveland plus 10.
Chicago's scary.
Cleveland plus 10. Houston plus 1.5. Jacksonville minus 4. Carolina plus 14. Detroit minus 3. Whew, I'm babe. Well, 15-8-1 in Broncos. So at least it gives us a little bit of leeway here. If we,
I want to correct that. 15-5 Patriots 1 and Broncos.
That's definitely fair. We're 0 for 3 in the Patriots. So, all right, let's take a short break. We'll come back. We'll talk about the Vaulted Pool questions. You can join us on Vaulted. It's a lot of fun. We have a good time there. We'll talk about that in just a second. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. Let's talk about Vaulted, VLTED. Go join the app, promo code. It's not even a promo code, just Geoff, Geoff, to join my pool. And it's a ton of fun. It's free to enter. We give away $500 a week, so it's $14,000 for the season. And again, it's 20 questions. Agree or don't agree. You put a scale of 1 to 10 on your prediction, and the winner of the week gets $400. Second place gets $75. Third place gets $25. And again, if you beat me, you finish ahead of me, you qualify for the big game pool. There'll be $5,000 for the Sunday of the big game. So let's go through some of these, Matt. I like. We talked about the Bears game to end last segment. Justin Fields will have more than 49.5 rushing yards against the Vikings. I haven't agree here. I think it goes over this. I think that's what the Bears offense has to be. And I think that Fields is going to start picking up the rushing now, basically not the back half of the season, but the rest of the season. What do you think about that one?
Yeah, it seems right. Especially this has bad weather. This is going to be an ugly, ugly game, reminiscent perhaps of that 49ers-Bears game last year. So I think Fields rushing props over makes a lot of sense.
He had 57 last game. He's had 47 against Kansas City and 59 against the Packers. Another one I like here, Bijan Robinson will have more than a total touchdown against the Commanders. I just think agree, right? Like just agree with any of those. Yeah.
With Bijan, do it feels like.
Yeah. Texans will beat the Saints. I agree there. I do think that the one Chargers beat the Cowboys. I think the Chargers do beat the Cowboys, right? Like if you were to in the pool, I'm going to put a agree on that one.
Yeah, I think I agree also.
Yeah.
That's where we were probably headed if we had to.
Yeah. There's a couple other ones here. Matt Stafford will throw for more than 270.5 yards. Matt Stafford, I feel like per game, like it's so interesting to see how he plays each and every week. There's been a lot of inconsistencies, but he's thrown for 334, 307, 269, 319, and 222. I would go more than. I go over because I think we've seen this year that he's been a big part of this offense. Cardinals defense is not great. Cooper Kupp is back. He's not playing the Eagles. I'll take the over here.
I like it. That's a nice
low
number.
I should say.
Yeah, I like that. There's also there's some fun ones this week. Like the lines are a little bit different, obviously, because of the time they set them, and it's a market they move. If you want to take some of these stinkers, like you can do it in this pool. Like you can take the Jets. The Jets are getting 7.5 against the Eagles. That's a pretty nice number. I feel like
Absolutely
that's going to be a low-scoring, bad weather game. And you can get the Giants plus 14.5 against Buffalo, and you know that I do like that one. I'm glad we're not involved, but I do think that that's good value if you're willing to wager 10 of your points on Tyrod Taylor.
I'm also going to put in the app my prediction that Oregon beats Washington.
Let's go.
It's fun, dude. I've been putting in like other predictions. Like I've been putting in a bunch of stuff like college football. I'll go and just put all my college football predictions, and you can go to you can make a custom one. So if the line has changed from the one you got, like tonight, it's Friday night. We're recording this on Friday. I like Colorado to cover the 11.5. So that's what I have for the number I have for Colorado. So I'll just go in here on the app and put that in there. So you can track my predictions. I mean, it's all on there. So it's 12.5 here. I'll just make a custom one and do Colorado here. They're going to beat Stanford. They're going to beat Stanford's butt tonight. So, all right, everyone, enjoy the show as usual. We're on a hot streak. We're going to hopefully keep it going. Hopefully keep it going here with some more wins this weekend. Remember, go Ducks. No one likes the Huskies around here. We'll talk to you guys on Monday for a recap show, and we'll preview Monday Night Football then. Have a great weekend, everyone. Talk to you guys Monday.